At the university's opening ceremony, I took the stage as the representative of the outstanding freshmen to give a speech. My mother rushed onto the stage, snatched the microphone from me, and began sobbing in front of the entire school. "Principal, please, I beg you, revoke my daughter's speaking privilege. She doesn't deserve it. Her private life is a mess. She got pregnant at such a young age and just had an abortion. She's still very weak from the procedure." In an instant, I became the laughingstock of the entire school. My boyfriend avoided me like the plague, and my friends turned against me. I was driven to the rooftop, with my mother still crying and shouting below, "I'm only doing this for your own good. You're not well, and it breaks my heart. I'm afraid you'll get tired from standing too long." I took a leap. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the day before the opening ceremony. My mother brought me a bowl of calming herbal soup, which I drank with a smile. Then, I secretly swapped her birth control pills for vitamin tablets. This time, I'm going to make sure she knows what it's like to be utterly ruined. The atmosphere at the dinner table was heavy. My mother placed a clump of celery into my bowl. "Eat up. You need your strength for the opening ceremony tomorrow." I quietly pushed the celery to the side of my plate. "I don't like celery." My mother's face fell. "You're giving a speech as the freshman representative in a few days. For such an important occasion, how can you afford to be unwell?" Cousin Lucy spoke softly. "Sis, Auntie only wants what's best for you. Giving the freshman address is such an honor. The whole family is counting on you to bring glory to our name." Her words spoke of envy, but the jealousy in her eyes was plain to see. In my past life, this very freshman speech was the beginning of my nightmare, seeing that I wasn't speaking. My mother's voice rose an octave. "I'm talking to you. Cat got your tongue. Have you memorized your speech for tomorrow? Don't embarrass yourself on stage." My father couldn't take it anymore and frowned. "All right, that's enough. Let the child eat in peace." My mother immediately turned her criticism toward my father. "What do you know? I'm trying to motivate her. She's the center of attention for the whole school right now. She can't afford to put a single foot wrong, sis. I heard your school has a study abroad exchange spot this year, just for freshmen. The requirements are supposed to be really high." Lucy mentioned it as if it were just a casual remark. My mom took the bait, just as expected. "An exchange student. To which country?" "I think it's country M. The tuition and living expenses for a year are several $100,000, and the school covers it all." The moment she heard several $100,000, my mother's eyes instantly lit up, a flash of greed and calculation passing through them. My aunt also gasped in surprise. "Such a great opportunity. Of course our Natalie has to go. With her excellent grades and being the freshman class representative, she'll be just fine." A flicker of pride crossed my mother's face, but it was quickly replaced by a furrowed brow. Look how frail she is. A stiff breeze could knock her over, but what if she gets sick abroad? With no one to look after her, Lucy chimed in immediately. "That's true. Her health has never been great. She's been prone to illness since she was little. The competition for that spot is bound to be fierce. I doubt her constitution could handle the strain." I watched their little duet with a cold sneer in my heart. In my past life, I burned the midnight oil for countless nights, all for that exchange student spot, but I lost my eligibility for good because of the scene my mom caused at the school. Meanwhile, Lucy, by having her aunt go around playing the victim and begging for pity, somehow managed to snag the last-minute admission slot. "Not in this lifetime. I won't let them get away with it again." "Mom, I don't want to compete for that spot. It's too exhausting. I just want to focus on my studies." My mom was stunned. My aunt and Lucy exchanged a look of surprise. My mother looked at me with suspicion. "Are you serious? You're giving up such a great opportunity. Are you trying to pull a fast one on me again?" "No, I just genuinely think my health might not be up to it. Lucy is right. I'm afraid I can't handle it." I deliberately played weak, steering the conversation towards Lucy. Watching the mother and daughter pair smugly scheme, I sneered inwardly. "This is just the first step. Go ahead and fight amongst yourselves. The harder you fight, the harder you'll fall." Lucy quickly waved her hands in protest. "Sis, that's not what I meant." But my mother cut her off, a calculating gleam in her eyes. "Since Natalie isn't going, we can't let this opportunity go to waste. Tomorrow, we'll go have a good talk with Natalie's counselor." My aunt's eyes lit up. "Will it work?" "Why wouldn't it?" My mother was brimming with confidence. "Natalie is the freshman class representative. The teacher must think highly of her. Have her go tell the teacher that she's not feeling well and is voluntarily giving the opportunity to her cousin. When the teacher sees how considerate she is, they'll definitely agree." A blush spread across Lucy's face as she clenched her fists in excitement. My father listened with a deepening frown. "What kind of nonsense is this? This is just absurd." My mother shot him a glare. "You be quiet. You don't get to speak in this house." She looked at me and said in a commanding tone, "As soon as your speech is over tomorrow, you're taking us to see your academic advisor. Do you hear me?" I nodded. "Yes, Mom." Late at night, my mother walked into my room holding a bowl of soup. Drink this calming soup. Don't be nervous tomorrow. It was exactly the same as in my past life. In my past life, after drinking this soup, I felt drowsy and sluggish every day. That would give my mom even more reason to say I'm frail. I took the bowl and obediently drank it all in one go. Thanks, Mom. My mom looked at me with satisfaction the moment she left the room. I rushed to the bathroom and threw up the entire bowl of soup. Then, I walked into her bedroom. From the nightstand, I took out the bottle of birth control pills she regularly took. With practiced ease, I popped out the pills inside and replaced them with the vitamins I had prepared long ago. Mom, haven't you always said I'm your pride and joy? This time, I'll let you experience firsthand what it feels like to fall from the heavens into the abyss. The auditorium was packed for the opening ceremony. I took a deep breath, and nothing but a hollow silence remained in my heart. It's my turn. I could see clearly that my mom, my aunt, and Lucy were sitting in the front row. Their gazes were like three sharp swords, pinning me in place. Respected leaders, teachers, and dear fellow students, I began to speak, my voice clear and steady. There was none of the nervousness or trembling from my past life. A round of applause rose from the audience. As my speech drew to a close, I followed protocol and bowed in gratitude to the entire school. Just as I straightened up, a figure suddenly rushed onto the stage from below. It was my mom. She snatched the microphone right out of my hand, moving so fast that no one could react. The entire room fell silent in an instant. All eyes were fixed on the stage, on my mother, unlike my last life. I didn't feel a chill run through my body. Instead, my heart was pounding wildly, not from fear, but from excitement. The suffocating feeling of being condemned by everyone in my past life flashed by. I couldn't help but flash a strange, expectant smile at the stunned crowd below. The show, at long last, was about to begin. Clutching the microphone, her voice was shrill and choked with sobs. Principal, teachers, please, I beg you, disqualify my daughter from giving her speech. Her words exploded like a bomb in the auditorium. The audience erupted in an uproar. I stood my ground, watching her performance with keen interest. She doesn't deserve this. She has no right to be here. She's nothing like the person you all think she is. She was crying hysterically. Her personal life is a mess. She got pregnant at such a young age. She just had an abortion a few days ago so she could come to school. She's in a very weak state right now. The doctor said she needs bed rest. I'm afraid she'll faint on stage if she has to stand for too long. A deathly silence fell over the room. Every single pair of eyes shifted from my mother to me. I saw the principal's face turn ashen. No wonder she looked so pale. She just had surgery. Who would have thought? A student with such good grades is such a mess in private. Lucy then ran over to me, her face full of concern as she helped steady me. Are you okay, sis? You look terrible. Come on. Let's go down and rest first. Her voice wasn't loud, but it confirmed what my mother had said. I really was in poor health. I pushed her away. I watched the woman on stage, still performing with tears in a choked voice. My birth mother. She was still sobbing her story. I only ever wanted what was best for her. What kind of mother would ever harm her own daughter? She's just too stubborn for her own good. But her health is the most important thing. I was afraid she'd work herself to the bone and ruin her health, that she might never be able to have children. That's why I resorted to this desperate measure. What a profound act of motherly love. To protect her daughter's health, she was willing to tarnish her reputation in front of thousands. I let out a laugh for no reason at all. My mother turned around, staring at me in astonishment. What are you laughing at? Step by step. I walked up to her. I took the microphone back from her hand. Mom. My voice wasn't loud, but through the microphone, it rang out clearly across the entire auditorium. Are you finished? My mom was stunned by my reaction. She stared at me, speechless. I ignored her and turned instead to the school administrators in the audience. I bowed deeply. I'm sorry, principal, and to all the teachers. I apologized to everyone for disrupting the opening ceremony due to a personal family matter. My tone was calm. The principal's expression softened slightly. Student, you. I cut him off. Regarding what my mother just said, I'd like to clarify something. I turned around to face the entire school. First of all, I am not pregnant, and I have certainly never had an abortion. Second, my personal life is beyond reproach. After saying that, I looked at my mom. Mom, I know you have my best interests at heart. You want me to get that exchange student spot. But you're also worried about my health and afraid I'll push myself too hard. So you're trying to make the school think I have poor character this way, to get me disqualified, and then have my equally bright and healthy cousin Lucy take my place, right? The moment I finished speaking, Lucy's face went pale. Auntie panicked and immediately waved her hands in denial. What nonsense are you talking about? We did no such thing. My mother's face turned absolutely ashen. She never expected I would expose her right in front of everyone. She was trembling with rage. pointing a finger at me. You ungrateful child. After all the hardship I endured to raise you, this is how you slander me." She started crying again, her performance utterly convincing. "How could I have raised such an ungrateful wretch? Every word I said is the truth. I dare you to go to the hospital for a checkup." She's forcing my hand, forcing me to prove my own innocence, to clear the mud she's slung at me, regardless of the outcome. The fact that I am under suspicion is now a reality. The rumors and gossip will follow me forever. In my past life, she drove me into a corner in exactly the same way, to quell the public outcry. The school asked me to withdraw, and she, only when I was backed into a corner, offered a grudging apology. I meant well. Who knew they'd actually believe it? I raised the microphone and addressed everyone in the audience. "I can go to the hospital for an examination to prove my innocence. But before we get to that, I'd like everyone to watch a short video first, too." As I said this, I took out my phone and connected it to the auditorium's main screen. On the screen, my mom, my aunt, and Lucy were sitting together on a sofa. "It's settled then. Tomorrow, your aunt, Lucy, and I are all going to the school together. Natalie is the freshman class representative. The teacher must think highly of her. Have her tell the teacher she's not feeling well and is voluntarily giving the opportunity to her cousin. When the teacher sees how considerate she is, they'll surely agree." Once again, a deathly silence fell over the auditorium. Everyone stared at the screen, utterly dumbfounded. My mother stood frozen in place, as if struck by lightning. She pointed at me, unable to utter a single word. You. Lucy was so terrified she collapsed to the floor. Auntie outright screamed, "You recorded it. You were secretly filming." I shut off the video and put my phone away. I just have a habit of documenting life as it happens. I looked at my mother. "Mom, now, do you still want me to go to the hospital for a checkup, or should we call the police first and let them determine whether this kind of public slander and false accusation constitutes defamation?" My mother's body almost gave way beneath her. I tore off every last shred of her disguise, right there in front of everyone. A wave of murmurs rose from the audience. "My God, is that woman even her real mother? She'd ruin her own daughter just to let her niece take her place. That cousin of hers is no saint either. She's far too cunning." I looked at my mother's face and felt not a shred of satisfaction at that moment. Several school security guards rushed onto the stage. "Parents, you need to leave immediately." The security guards were holding my mother back, but she was still screaming at me hysterically. "I'm your mother. You can't do this to me. You'll regret this. You're going to regret it." My aunt and Lucy were also dragged away from the scene. The farce has finally come to an end. The principal walked over to me and patted me on the shoulder. "I'm sorry you had to go through that, student. The school will make sure justice is served." "Thank you, principal." I walked off the stage, my speech notes in hand. I had just stepped out of the auditorium when someone blocked my path. It was Stephen, my ex-boyfriend. His face turned ashen as he seized my wrist. "Natalie, have you lost your mind? He did the same thing in my past life, but back then, his eyes held contempt and evasion. Now, they burned with rage." I simply watched him in silence, saying nothing. "That's your mother. Even if she was in the wrong, you can't humiliate her like that in front of the whole school. Have you thought about how I feel? What will people think of me? What will they say about me having a girlfriend who would scheme against her own mother? The only thing he's ever cared about is his own reputation." I let out a bitter laugh. "Girlfriend." I pulled my hand free, raised it, and with all my strength, slapped him hard across the face. Smack. The sharp, crisp sound made the passing students around us stop in their tracks. "Stephen, who the hell do you think you are? What gives you the right to stick your nose into my family business?" I pointed at him and spoke, enunciating every single word. "Don't flatter yourself thinking anyone gives a damn about your pretentious face. Get lost. From this moment on, you are dumped. Don't ever show your face around me again, or I'll beat you up every single time I see you." Stephen covered his face. Completely stunned, the whispers and pointing around him made him flush with alternating embarrassment and anger. You're impossible." I couldn't be bothered to give him another glance. I turned and walked away, blocking and deleting him in one swift motion. My life needs a fresh start, and the first step is to take out the trash. When I got home, the house was a complete mess. My dad was sitting on the sofa, chain-smoking. Seeing me come in, he stubbed out his cigarette. "Your mother. She's locked herself in her room. She hasn't eaten all day." His voice was heavy with weariness and resignation. I didn't react, and just headed back to my room. "Natalie," my dad called out to stop me, "is there some kind of misunderstanding about this? Your mom, she might not always think before she speaks or acts, but her heart's in the right place. She definitely has your best interests at heart." That line again. "For my own good." So, for my own good. You announced to thousands of people that I got pregnant and had an abortion. You give my opportunity to someone else, even if it means ruining my reputation. Dad, if this is what you think is for my own good, then I'd rather not have it. My father was left speechless by my words and could only let out a sigh in the end. "But she's your mother." "Yeah, she is my mother." I gave a self-deprecating laugh. "So whatever she does is right, and I just have to take it. Is that it?" I ignored him. turned around, and went into my room, locking the door behind me. Early the next morning, I was jolted awake by a violent pounding on the door. "Natalie, get your ass out here." I opened the door, and with a sharp crack, a hard slap landed across my face, a searing, burning pain. "You beast, you must have been born in the wrong life just to torment me. How could I have given birth to such an ungrateful wretch? You've destroyed everything for me. I hope you die a horrible death." She frantically tore at my hair, cursing me with the most vile language. "How could I have given birth to such a heartless creature? How could you scheme against your own mother, all for some lousy spot? Let me make this clear. As long as I'm alive, you can forget about getting that exchange student position." My dad and my aunt rushed into the room. They pulled my mother away, but she kept on cursing and shouting. I covered my face and said nothing. I just stared at her coldly. Lucy scurried over with faint concern. "Sis, don't blame Auntie. She just had a momentary lapse in judgment. This is all my fault. If I hadn't brought up the exchange student program, none of this would have happened." She spoke through her tears, putting on a pitiful, heart-wrenching performance. I looked at her and suddenly smiled. "Is that so? Well, you can still back out now, if you want." Lucy's sobs caught in her throat, a flicker of panic crossing her face. My aunt immediately shoved me aside. "Stop bullying people here. What gives you the right to make Lucy quit? Your mother is right. An ungrateful daughter like you doesn't deserve to go." My mother chimed in. "Exactly, she doesn't deserve it. That spot has to go to Lucy. I'll go beg them again. Make them give the spot to Lucy." As she said this, she actually made a move to rush out the door. My dad finally couldn't take it anymore and let out a roar. "For God's sake, that's enough. Haven't you embarrassed us enough already? Just look at the state of you." My mother was stunned by his shout and immediately started crying even harder. "You're shouting at me. You're shouting at me over this ungrateful daughter. Fine, the two of you, father and daughter, ganging up on me. What's the point of living anymore? I don't want to live." Sobbing and shouting, she ran towards the window, making as if to jump. The house instantly descended into chaos. 3. My dad and aunt rushed over to pull her back. I stood where I was, watching the whole spectacle with cold detachment. Just then, my mother suddenly stopped. She clutched her stomach, her face turning pale. "Ouch, I've got a stomachache." Cold sweat beaded on her forehead, her face contorted in pain. Her aunt panicked. "Sis, what's wrong? Don't scare me like this," my mother said weakly. "I don't know. It's just these waves of cramping pain." My father grew frantic too. "Quick, call an ambulance." My aunt scrambled to find her phone, watching my mother in agony. I felt nothing inside. By my count from when I secretly switched the medication, it should be about 2 weeks now. My mother was still moaning and groaning, wondering if she had eaten something bad. My aunt started guessing wildly too. "Did you not eat last night? Is it a stomach cramp?" My dad urged impatiently. "Stop guessing. Call an ambulance. No." I slowly walked over and knelt down in front of my mom. "Mom, have you been feeling unusually tired lately? And are you often feeling nauseous or like you might throw up?" My mom was taken aback for a moment and looked at me. "How did you know?" I smiled and took out my phone. "Because I'm not feeling too well myself. Maybe we should go to the hospital together and get checked out." I didn't call 911. I dialed a different number, one I had saved long ago. The call was answered almost immediately. I put the call on speakerphone. A booming male voice came through the receiver. "Hello, who is this?" The moment my mother heard that voice, her body jolted violently. She looked at me, her eyes filled with terror and disbelief. "You." The man on the other end of the line was my mother's first love, Uncle Wine. My father's face instantly darkened. "Natalie, who are you calling?" I didn't answer him, just stared quietly at my mother. Uncle Wang on the other end of the line, hearing no response, asked again. "Hello, speak up. Who is this?" My mother's body began to tremble uncontrollably. She tried to snatch my phone, but a stomachache left her too weak to even try. Hang up the phone," she rasped, her voice hoarse. I gave a faint smile. "Mom, I thought you had a stomachache. Uncle Wang is a doctor. Wouldn't it be perfect to have him take a listen for you?" Uncle Wang is a renowned obstetrician and gynecologist in the city. All of our relatives know about this. Aunt's expression changed as well. Looking at my mother with a complicated gaze, I said into the phone, "Hello, Uncle Wang, it's Natalie." "Oh, Natalie, what can I do for you?" "Well, my mom isn't feeling well. I was hoping you could take a look at her." I said it casually. "She's been feeling nauseous and having stomach pains lately." There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. His professional instincts as an OBGYN kicked in, and he understood in an instant. "Your mother, when was her last menstrual period?" The moment the question was asked, the air in the room seemed to freeze. My father stared fixedly at my mother's stomach. "You, tell me, what on earth is going on?" My mother's lips were drained of all color. She stared at me with a gaze that could devour me. Yet the fear in her eyes betrayed her. She was afraid. I was afraid her secret, kept for over a decade, would be exposed by me just like that. Seeing my mother fall silent, I gently reminded her, "Mom, Uncle Wang is asking you a question." My mother trembled, unable to utter a single word. Seeing this, my aunt quickly stepped in to smooth things over. Dear Wang, my sister just has a bit of a stomachache from something she ate. It's nothing serious. We won't trouble you any further." As she spoke, she made a move to snatch my phone. I dodged lightly, avoiding her hand. "Auntie, my mother's health is the priority. Uncle Wang is a specialist. We'll only feel at ease if he examines her." I held the phone up to my mother's mouth once more. "Mom, please, say something." Under my relentless stare, my mother finally broke down. She shoved me away and screamed at me hysterically. "What do you want from me? Are you trying to drive me to my grave?" The movement sent a fresh wave of pain through her stomach. She curled up on the ground, moaning in agony. My father's face was a picture of pure fury. He walked step by step to stand before my mother, looking down at her. "You'd better have an explanation for me." His voice was as cold as ice. My mother was in too much pain to speak, and could only shake her head repeatedly. As I watched this scene unfold, my heart was as calm as still water. I hung up the phone and immediately dialed 120. The ambulance arrived very quickly. The paramedics lifted my mother onto a stretcher. My father never once looked at her the entire time. Auntie and Lucy followed them to the hospital. That evening, my dad came home. He had been drinking heavily and reeked of alcohol. "Are the results back yet?" He nodded, his voice hoarse. "She's pregnant. It's an ectopic pregnancy." He looked up, his eyes red as they met mine. "The child, it's his." I wasn't surprised. In my past life, after I died, my mother fell ill too. It was due to massive hemorrhaging from an ectopic pregnancy. She almost didn't make it. Back then, I simply thought it was her just deserts for all the evil she had done. It wasn't until I was reborn that I pieced it all together. My mom and Uncle Wang never really lost touch. Why? My father clutched his hair in anguish. What did I ever do to wrong her? After all these years of giving her my whole heart, why would she do this to me? I didn't answer him, because I don't know the answer either. Perhaps, not loving someone is the original sin, Natalie. "Did you know all along?" I fell silent. He let out a self-deprecating laugh. "Yeah. I'm such a fool. You all knew. I was the only one kept in the dark, like an idiot." He picked up the bottle from the table and raised it to his lips again. I held his hand. "Dad, that's enough. You still have me." He looked at me, and tears fell. A man nearing 50 wept like a child. "From today onward, this family is well and truly broken." My mother's surgery was a complete success, but she herself was utterly broken. She lay in the hospital bed, her eyes vacant. She showed no reaction upon seeing me. My aunt looked somewhat awkward when she saw me. "Your mother, she's not in a good place right now. Don't take it to heart." I nodded and sat down the fruit basket I was holding. I walked over to the hospital bed and looked at my mother. "How are you feeling, Mom?" She still ignored me. I didn't mind and just kept talking. "Dad knows. He's going to divorce you." My mother's body jolted. She finally turned her head and stared at me, her eyes burning. The look in their eyes was pure venom. "It's you. This is all your fault, you jinx. I haven't had a single good day since you came along. I regret it so much. I should have strangled you when I had the chance." My aunt was startled and quickly covered her mouth. "Sis, what nonsense are you saying?" My mother struggled, still intent on continuing her tirade. I stared at her coldly. "Go ahead and curse. It's not like you'll have many chances left anyway. The divorce papers, Dad has already had the lawyer draw them up. You won't get a single penny from the house, the car, or the savings, because you were the one who cheated first." My mother's eyes widened even more. She couldn't believe that the man who had always bent over backwards for her could be so ruthless. Impossible. He wouldn't dare. He loves me so much. He would never do this to me. She seemed to be trying to convince me. Or perhaps herself. I took out my phone and played a recording. It was my father's drunken confession from last night. "Finally," he said, "I really want to kill her." When the recording finished, my mother fell completely silent, for the color drained completely from her face. "And I'd advise you to start making plans, too." "What do you mean?" "Dad's company is being audited. I heard someone embezzled a significant amount of public funds by abusing their position, and that person seems to be my uncle. I helped my father sort out his company's accounts in my past life, so I know exactly where the discrepancies are." My aunt's face instantly darkened. Don't you dare make baseless accusations." "I didn't say a thing. I'm just reminding you, in these troubled times, it's best to be cautious." With that, I ignored them and turned to leave the hospital room. Back at school, my academic advisor found me. He informed me that after some discussion, the school has decided to reopen the selection process for the exchange student spots. The new selection will be conducted in a fair, just, and transparent manner. As I left the office, I ran into Lucy. When she saw me, She averted her eyes and tried to walk around me. I called out to stop her. Lucy, she stopped and forced a faint smile. Sis, my mom's in the hospital. Aren't you going to visit her? I've just been really swamped with schoolwork lately. Oh, really? I walked up to her and stared her down. So, I hear you've been spending all your time going out with Stephen lately. Lucy's face instantly flushed bright red. That's not true. We're just friends. Just friends. I smiled and didn't press her further with the photo. Fine, I wish you both happiness. I left those words hanging in the air as I walked past her. I knew that she and Stephen were just using each other, but I had more important things to do. The selection process for the exchange program had begun. On the day of the written exam, I saw Lucy. She was wearing a white dress and looked pure and innocent. She even took the initiative to greet me when she saw me. Hey, you're here too. She looked me up and down, a scornful smile curling at the corner of her mouth. But opportunities like this should be based on fair competition, not like some people. With that kind of family situation, I wonder if the judges will mind. There was a hint of barely perceptible provocation in her tone. I ignored her and walked straight into the examination hall. In my past life, I had prepared for this exam for a very long time. I had every single piece of knowledge committed to memory. This time, it was a walk in the park. When the written exam results came out, I took first place without a doubt. Lucy ranked 5th, just barely making the cut for the interview. On the day of the interview, we were placed in the same group. There were 3 interviewers, our dean and 2 foreign professors. Lucy was ahead of me in line. She delivered a brilliant self-introduction in fluent English. She spoke about her humble background and how she overcame hardships to study diligently. She spoke of her longing to attend a prestigious university abroad. She was so expressive and heartfelt that she nearly moved herself to tears. The 2 foreign professors were visibly moved by her story. The dean also nodded in approval. It's my turn. My self-introduction was very simple. I only stated my name, my major, and my academic results. No sob stories, no emotional appeals. The dean seemed somewhat disappointed. A foreign professor asked a question. Natalie, we see that your written exam results are outstanding. However, we believe that an excellent exchange student requires not only top grades but also strong mental fortitude and adaptability. Do you believe you possess these qualities? This question was clearly aimed at that whole mess with my family. I have a feeling Lucy has been working hard behind the scenes. I looked at him and replied, neither subservient nor defiant. I believe I do, because I have experience to spare. And I have overcome it. Nothing tempers a person's resolve more than having faced death. My words left the 3 interviewers speechless. I offered no explanation. I simply watched them calmly. I knew they would investigate, and the findings would only work in my favor. The interview was over, and I ran into Lucy in the hallway. She looked at me with a smug expression. I think I did pretty well this time, sis. Who do you think the school will pick? Looking at her hypocritical face, I couldn't help but find it somewhat amusing. Take a guess. The results came out very quickly. The final list of selected candidates was published on the school's official website. I was reading in the library when I saw the list. My phone buzzed. It was a WeChat message from Lucy, a screenshot. It was a notification from the official website. On what grounds? I replied with just 2 words. On my authority. Then, I blocked her. I thought that was the end of it. To my surprise, Lucy still wouldn't give up. She tracked down my father's company. She wanted my father to intervene and ask the school to make me give up my spot for her. In the end, he was thrown out by the security guards at my dad's company because my uncle's embezzlement of company funds had been discovered. With both witnesses and material evidence in place, he was taken away by the police for investigation. My aunt went to the company and caused a huge scene, accusing my dad of framing him. My dad sent the lawyer's letter directly to her house. He was suing her for defamation. That finally put my aunt in her place, and my mom has been staying at my aunt's house ever since she was discharged from the hospital. She didn't dare go home, nor did she dare face my father. I heard she used all her savings to hire a lawyer for her uncle. Sadly, it was all for nothing. The amount embezzled was huge. A prison sentence is inevitable. That family was finished, done for. I had all my paperwork sorted and was ready to go abroad. The day before I was set to leave, I got a call I never expected. It was Uncle Wang. He asked to meet me. We met at a cafe. Uncle Wang looked much more worn out than the last time. He just looked at me quietly. You look just like your mother, he spoke, his voice a little hoarse. I said nothing. He gave a bitter smile. I know you hate her, and you hate me too. I admitted it bluntly. Yes, I hate you. I hate your selfishness for destroying 2 families. He fell silent for a long while before finally speaking. What happened back then was my fault. I shouldn't have kept seeing her after she got married. I thought we were just friends. Friends, I sneered. The kind that sleep together. My words held no mercy. His face instantly drained of all color. I'm sorry. I know it's too late for any words now. I'm not here today to ask for your forgiveness. I just Wanted to tell you some things. He said that back then, he and my mother were truly in love, but his family was poor, and my grandparents were dead set against it. He even threatened to cut ties with my mother. My mother had no choice but to marry my father. After the marriage, she was never truly happy, that is, until she met him again later on. Old flames rekindled, and it all spiraled out of control. She told me she doesn't love your father. Being with him makes her feel suffocated and miserable. She said you are her only hope. Hope, I said, as if I'd just heard the biggest joke of all time. So her hope is to use me as a tool to scheme against others. Her hope is to use me as a bargaining chip to get what she wants. If that's her hope, then I'd rather she never had any hope at all. Uncle Juan closed his eyes in anguish. Natalie, I know she's done a lot of wrong, but she truly does love you. She just went about it the wrong way. Loves me. Is this what you call love? Dumping all the blame on me. Is this what you call love? Sacrificing my entire life for your own selfishness? Uncle Wang, you have a daughter yourself. If your own daughter went through what I have, would you still be here defending her mother? He was completely speechless. Yeah. You never know how much it hurts until it happens to you. He thought he knew my mother so well. The truth is, he has no idea. He doesn't know how controlling my mother can be. He has no clue how terrifying her vanity is. And he certainly doesn't realize the lengths she'll go to in order to get what she wants. Her so-called love is cheap and laughable. There's one more thing I came here to do today. Uncle Wang took a bank card out of his bag and slid it across the table toward me. There's some money in here. It's not much. Consider it my way of making it up to you. I looked at the card and didn't move. I don't need it. I know you don't, but your mother asked me to give this to you. I was taken aback for a moment. She said she's sorry. She said that in her whole life, the person she's most sorry to is you. She wants you to take this money, build a good life for yourself abroad, and never come back. I looked at him, and suddenly, I understood. This isn't compensation, this is hush money. She's scared. Scared I'll spill all her dirty secrets. Scared she'll lose the last shred of her dignity. It's pathetic, really. Even at a time like this, all she could think about was herself. I picked up the card. Just as Uncle Wang thought I would accept it, I snapped it in two right in front of him. Then, I tossed it into the nearby trash can. Tell her, the game is just beginning. I won't let this go. I left the cafe without looking back. I didn't go home. I went to my aunt's house. I knocked on the door. It was Lucy who answered. She looked at me as if she'd seen a ghost. What are you doing here? She looked terrible, with heavy dark circles under her eyes, completely devoid of her usual spark. I ignored her and walked straight in. The house was small and messy. My aunt was sitting on the sofa, sighing heavily. When she saw me, she was taken aback for a moment, then stood up. What are you doing here? You're not welcome in this house. My mother emerged from the room. She was in her pajamas, her hair a mess, with a vacant look in her eyes. Upon seeing me, as if triggered, she suddenly let out a shriek. What are you doing here, you jinx? Get out. She grabbed an apple from the table and hurled it at me. I didn't dodge. The apple struck my forehead with a sharp sting. I looked at her and smiled. Mom, I'm leaving tomorrow. I came to say goodbye. My words made my mother freeze. She looked at me. Her expression complicated. Leave, and just where do you think you're going? She sneered. You think moving abroad will get you away from me? Let me make this clear, Natalie, you will always be my daughter. My blood runs in your veins. You can't sever ties with me in this lifetime. Her aunt chimed in from the sidelines. Exactly. Don't you forget who changed your diapers and raised you from a baby, now that you've grown your wings. You think you can just disown your own mother? Have you no conscience? Lucy spoke up timidly. Sis, Auntie, she really misses you. What a ridiculous family. Even now, you're still putting on an act. 5. I didn't come here today to argue with you. I took a document from my bag and placed it on the table. This is the severance agreement. I've already signed it. Once you sign it too, from this day forward, we go our separate ways. No more ties. All three of them were stunned. They probably never expected me to go this far. My mother was the first to snap out of it. She flew into a rage, rushed over, and tore the agreement to shreds, cutting ties over my dead body. Listen to me, Natalie. I will never agree to this. Not in a million years. She suddenly stormed into the kitchen and emerged moments later, a kitchen knife now clutched in her hand. She pointed the blade at me, her eyes bloodshot and her face twisted with rage. You think you're all grown up now? This is all your fault. You've destroyed this family. Your father divorcing you, your uncle getting arrested, it's all because of you, you jinx. You think you can just walk away? Not a chance. She advanced step by step, the blade of the knife glinting coldly. Today, you either leave all the money for studying abroad with me, or we die together. I brought you into this world, and I can take you out of it. Her true, ugly nature was laid bare for all to see. She doesn't love me. She only loves what I can do for her, the moment I lose my usefulness. or refuse to be used, I become her greatest enemy. I looked at Lucy, and you, Lucy, did you really think no one would find out what you did? To secure that exchange student spot, you anonymously reported me to the school, accusing me of academic fraud and misconduct. Did you honestly believe I wouldn't know? Lucy's face instantly drained of color. I didn't. You didn't. I took out my phone and played a recording. It was her call log with her friend. That fool actually thought I was being nice to her. Once I secure the spot and go abroad, who's even going to remember her? Lucy collapsed to the floor, unable to utter a single word. I casually sent the recording to Stephen, adding a single line. Your new girlfriend sure knows how to play the game. Auntie was stunned, shaking with rage. You. I watched the chaotic scene unfold, my heart utterly still. Facing the knife in my mother's hand, I didn't retreat. Instead, I stepped forward and offered my neck. Go on. I looked calmly into her frenzied eyes. You said you regretted not strangling me, didn't you? Here's your chance. Stab me right here. Get it over with. Then you can go to my dad and demand a huge payout for emotional distress. You could even blackmail Uncle Wang for the rest of his life. My mother was stunned by my actions. Her hand, gripping the knife, began to tremble. She was still cursing under her breath. But she didn't dare to actually stab down. That's just the kind of person she is, all bark and no bite, a bully who only picks on the weak. I pushed her knife-wielding hand away and walked out that door without a second thought. Behind me, the sound of her impotent, furious screams and things being smashed echoed. I didn't look back. I knew that my life was only truly beginning from this moment on. Story 2, during the school hiking trip. Our class monitor suddenly spotted a black bear cub in the mountains. She secretly stuffed it into her backpack, insisting on taking it back to school as a pet. Knowing how dangerous black bears can be, I realized we'd all be doomed if the mother bear came looking. After much persuasion, the monitor finally agreed to return the cub. Little did we know we'd run straight into the mother bear, resulting in our class monitor's tragic death. The enraged classmates tied me up as an offering to the mother bear in exchange for the monitor's body. The bear devoured me completely, leaving no trace behind. When I opened my eyes again, I'd returned to the moment when our monitor first found the bear cub. A shiver ran down my spine as I watched Class President Aloan cradling the black bear cub in her arms. Last time, it was one of these deceptively adorable creatures that left me without a trace. This time, I'm staying well out of it. Aloan paraded the still-blind little bear cub before the entire class. This teddy bear is so adorable. Can we take it back to class as our pet? Everyone was seeing the bear for the first time and nodded excitedly. Sure, it's absolutely precious. Just then, Aloan turned to me. Callista, what do you think? Kyle suddenly wrapped his arm around Aloan's shoulder. Why ask her? Just keep it if you like it. It's absolutely adorable, just like you. A blush spread across Aloan's face. Stop it. I couldn't help but sneer. Black bears can smell human scent on cubs. They'll come looking sooner or later. Let's see how they can still manage to laugh about this. Our whole class was hiking down the mountain when Aloan, carrying the black bear cub, got tired after just a few steps and whined to Kyle in her most delicate voice. I'm so exhausted. The next second, Kyle pointed at me and barked an order. You there, come help Aloan carry this for a while. There's no way I'd agree to that. I don't want a black bear scent marking me. It's not like I wanted a pet. Why should I be the one holding it? To everyone's surprise, Kyle's face darkened immediately. Callista, how can you be so heartless? Aloan's been spoiled rotten since childhood, never had to lift a finger. What's the big deal about carrying her stuff? I scoffed. So Aloan was raised like a princess, wasn't I? How can you be so heartless? Get over here now. I rolled my eyes. Whoever wants to take care of it can do it themselves. I'm not holding that thing. Aloan's eyes instantly welled up as she tugged Kyle's sleeve. Callista must be tired. That's why she refused. It's fine. I'll manage. Please don't be mad at her. This is all my fault. Kyle's heart visibly ached as he shot me a murderous glare. Callista, I'm counting to 3. Get over here now, or we're through. At the word breakup, a flicker of smug satisfaction crossed Aloan's eyes as she stared triumphantly at me. I shrugged indifferently. Fine, let's break up then. In my past life, the ringleader who had me tied up was none other than Kyle. I've seen right through his true colors long ago. Kyle glared at me through gritted teeth. Callista, you'll regret this. With that, he snatched the black bear cub from Aloan's arms and stormed down the mountain. The guest house at the foot of the mountain is where we'll be staying tonight. When we reached the foot of the mountain, Aloan started distributing room keys to the class, but when it was my turn, she suddenly exclaimed, "Oh no, sorry Callista, we're out of rooms. You'll have to pitch a tent outside tonight." I froze, then frowned and shot back. What do you mean? I can clearly see spare keys in your hand. As I reached for a key, Aloan dramatically collapsed to the ground with a piercing shriek. The next second, Kyle rushed out and slapped me across the face. Callista, how could you hit Aloan just because you're jealous of her? You're absolutely vicious. My head snapped to the side, ears ringing from the impact. My cheek burned with searing pain. I furrowed my brows, staring at Kyle in disbelief. What gives you the right to hit me? She's the one who refused to assign me a room first. My own parents never laid a finger on me my entire life, Kyle scoffed coldly. You pathetic excuse of a human not only bullied Aloan, but now you're trying to frame her too. I wouldn't even bother laying a finger on trash like you otherwise. You think you can mess with Aloan? Aloan tugged at Kyle's sleeve with a pitiful look. Kyle, stop fighting. I get why Aloan's upset about the room assignment and holds it against me. I understand and don't blame her. Don't be mad at her. Kyle's eyes instantly filled with pity. Aloan, you're just too kind. That's why trash like this always takes advantage of you. Then he glared daggers at me. What are you waiting for? Apologize to Aloan right now. I scoffed coldly. Is she even worthy? Kyle's eyes turned red as he grabbed my hair and slammed me onto the floor. You will apologize to Aloan. Just then, the other classmates heard the commotion and peeked out from their rooms. Aloan, witnessing the scene, looked like she'd finally found her audience. Her eyes instantly welled up with tears, her voice trembling with just the right mix of choked sobs and grievance, each word striking straight at everyone's hearts. Callista, I get that you have issues with me, but don't ruin everyone else's fun, okay? With that single sentence, she painted me as the unreasonable troublemaker spoiling the group's vibe. Just as Aloan finished speaking, a wave of accusations erupted from the crowd. Callista, what do you think you're doing? A guy who was close with Kyle was the first to lash out, scowling as if looking at something filthy. Our class monitor has been so good to us, booking homestays, arranging itineraries, and you're bullying them. Have you no shame? A girl shrilly chimed in, shooting me a lip dripping with contempt. Too incompetent to achieve anything, so you just envy others. How pathetic, shameless trash, each word. Each syllable flew at me like venom-dipped daggers in ruthless succession. Burning with righteous indignation for Aloan, they encircled me like judges condemning an irredeemable criminal. Kyle forced my head down with a vicious grip, snarling, apologize to Aloan now. I offered no defense. I knew better. Any explanation would only invite fiercer mockery and abuse. In my past life when I was tied up, they did the same, hurling even more vicious words as they urged Kyle to push me toward the black bear. Now this mob behaves identically, roughly pinning my wrists and forcing my head down, making me kneel like a criminal before Aloan to kowtow in apology. I bite my lip until it bleeds, feeling my dignity shatter completely in this moment. The crowd glares at me with venomous eyes, snarling, apologize. Kyle suddenly spoke up, fine, if she won't agree, then just make him kowtow to apologize to the class monitor. Hearing this, the others all nodded in agreement. All right, that settles it. With that, they forced my head down, making me knock it heavily against the floor before Aloan. Aloan covered her mouth with a feigned look of shock and pity, though her eyes gleamed with unmistakable triumph. All right, let's end it here. I forgive you, Callista. Their hands released abruptly, sending me collapsing weakly to the ground, until a twisted smile suddenly tugged at my lips. My mistake was clinging to foolish compassion, believing we could all escape together. I should have known better than to expect anything from them. Kyle pulled Aloan closer, murmuring soothing words into her ear. When his eyes met mine again, his words dripped venom. Callista, I swear if you lay another finger on Aloan, the whole class will make you pay. Aloan gently pushed Kyle away with perfect timing, putting on an understanding expression. Everyone, please don't say that. Callista didn't mean to do it. Kyle, maybe I should be the one to stay in the tent. I don't want to ruin everyone's mood just because of me. She bit her lip, tears welling up in her eyes as if she'd suffered some grave injustice. The moment these words were spoken, everyone exploded with anger. Why should the class monitor get the room? She's been working the hardest today. Exactly, what has Callista even done? She's been giving everyone the stink eye all day. And now she wants the king-sized bed. Making her sleep in a tent would be too good for her. She deserves to get soaked in the rain. Callista, have you no shame at all? Kyle had completely run out of patience. He jabbed a finger in my face and snarled, get out, stop being such an eyesore. With that, he turned and rushed to the guest house entrance, grabbed my suitcase with both hands, and with all his might hurled it toward the distant grove. The suitcase traced an arc through the air before crashing heavily onto the ground. There, standing all alone, was a small tent. I rose in silence, wordless, and began walking step by step toward the tent. Their smug laughter echoed behind me. Look at her pathetic self, actually going through with it. Who does she think she is? Serves her right. Just wait till she comes crawling back, begging us to open the door. A cold smirk curled at the corner of my lips. Just wait, when night falls, we'll see who's begging on their knees. I zipped up the tent, sealing out the outside noise. Before long, a muffled bear's roar echoed from deep within the mountain woods. Outside the tent, the group suddenly panicked. Is that the cub's mother coming for us? What should we do? Squad leader. A hint of nervousness crept into Aloan's voice as she cleared her throat. Don't worry, it's fine. How could that bear possibly track us to this BB? There's nothing to fear. The group scattered like frightened animals to their rooms, terrified of encountering the black bear if they lingered. Apologize. I'm curious to see who they'll sacrifice this time around. As night deepened, the bear's roars grew closer, its labored breathing and heavy footsteps pounding against my chest with each step. That black bear had already picked up our scent and was closing in. I froze in terror, barely daring to breathe. In the darkness, my toe brushed against something soft and fleshy. My heart skipped a beat as I looked down in the dim glow of my phone. In that instant, my blood ran cold. The black bear cub lay motionless in my sleeping bag. Beneath it was the jacket Aloan had worn earlier that day. It had long stopped breathing. This had Aloan's fingerprints all over it. While I was asleep, she stuffed this dead cub into my tent. Even in this second life, am I still doomed to be crushed by her? My jaw clenched so tight I could taste the bitterness in my bones. The mother bear had caught her cub's scent, her massive shadow engulfing my tent. I held my breath as the ragged panting outside and the squelching footsteps in the mud pounded against my chest like sledgehammers. Rage threatened to burst from my ribcage. I could have torn that wretched pair Aloan and Kyle limb from limb right then. Ryup! A faint scratching sound came as the bear's claws tentatively dragged across the tent canvas. This flimsy fabric won't last long. Calling the police now would be like trying to put out a fire from miles away. Just as I succumbed to utter despair and braced for death, the creak of a guesthouse door broke the silence nearby. Aloan and Kyle's voices shattered the deathly stillness of the night. Do you think that bitch Callista has noticed the bear's dead? The moment human voices sounded, the black bear outside the tent froze mid-movement. I once read in a wilderness survival guide that black bears are highly intelligent, they can even mimic human behavior. Turns out that book was right. Kyle's sneering laughter cut through the empty mountain forest like a knife. Who cares if she finds out? Tomorrow morning we'll just say Callista rolled over in her sleep and crushed the cub to death. She'll never be able to clear her name. No one can ever know we accidentally killed it. I bit down on my lips so hard I nearly drew blood. Just as I thought, that damn couple Kyle and Aloan had been hooking up all along. After accidentally killing the cub, they cooked up this vicious scheme to pin it on me. Aloan's voice carried an affected, saccharine sweetness. All right, whatever you say. So, should we go take a look? The moment the words left his mouth, Kyle let out a sharp gasp. What the? There's someone by Callista's tent, and they're waving at us. My blood ran cold in that instant. It was the black bear. It rose in the darkness, mimicking human movements. This bear was uncannily intelligent. I burrowed deeper into my sleeping bag, my only, flimsy shelter now. Aloan's voice trembled with the thrill of discovery. Is there another man in Callista's tent? No wonder she agreed to stay in the tent so readily today. She must have planned this all along. Kyle's voice instantly darkened, seething with offended rage. That two-timing bitch. No wonder she took our breakup yesterday without batting an eye. Let's go, we'll catch them red-handed right now. Let's see how she dares to show her face after this. A shameless woman like her deserves to be scorned by everyone. I could hear their footsteps approaching. 1 step, 2 steps, getting closer and closer. My heart was pounding so hard it felt ready to burst. Come check out the surprise I've prepared for you. Kyle, keep it down. Don't let her notice. Aloan feigned concern. Notice. I want her to notice. Kyle's rage burned with jealousy. Let's see which blind fool dares lay hands on my woman. Wait, ex-girlfriend. His voice dripped with masculine possessiveness and the fury of betrayal. I could practically picture his ridiculous, bristling with rage expression right now. I curled into the farthest corner of the tent, pressing my body against the icy ground, peering intently through the gash torn by bear claws in the tent fabric. In the darkness, 2 indistinct figures stumbled toward us with unsteady footsteps. The taller, more massive figure stood motionless before my tent like a silent statue of death itself. It's waiting. So am I. Callista, get your ass out here. Kyle's roar made my ears ring. He'd reached the tent, mere steps away from the standing black bear. You think hiding like a coward will save you? Listen here. If you don't explain yourself today, His words died abruptly, because Aloan let out a sharp gasp. Kyle, look, that person, how is he so tall? Aloan's voice trembled with a barely detectable hint of fear. Kyle seemed to sense something amiss too. Cut the crap, he cursed, though his footsteps halted. Who's there? Show yourself. Damn it. The response came as a deep, guttural growl that seemed to rise from the bowels of hell. The voice seethed with the furious grief of a bereaved parent and the bloodthirsty madness of impending slaughter. The air froze in an instant. Kyle and Aloan stood paralyzed as if struck by a petrification spell. The next second, the colossal shadow stirred. It didn't walk over like a human. It dropped to all fours and lunged with terrifying speed. The movement was so fast it left only a blur in its wake. Aloan's blood-curdling scream tore through the night, saturated with primal terror. In that desperate moment, Aloan shoved Kyle aside and bolted for the exit. Then came Kyle's blood-curdling scream. Bear, it's a bear, help, somebody help. Chaos erupted outside the tent in an instant. I heard the sickening thud of something heavy being tackled, the gruesome crack of snapping bones, and the horrifying sound of flesh being torn apart. Kyle's screams soon devolved into incoherent wails. No, stay back, it wasn't me. I didn't kill your child, it was Callista. Callista in the tent did this. Go after her, get her. That venomous woman still found time to drag me down with her even at death's door. I let out a cold laugh, standing my ground. A black bear's rage wouldn't be swayed by her pathetic lies. Its keen nose could detect exactly who carried the last traces of its cub's scent. The symphony of the night was the crunch of teeth and Kyle's desperate pleas for mercy. I listened quietly, feeling no satisfaction whatsoever in my past life. They did the same, pushing me without hesitation into the jaws of frenzied beasts when danger came. This time, I merely watched coldly as they marched toward the graves they dug themselves. This is their retribution. The fact that the black bear has eaten humans proves I'm still in grave danger. That bear could turn back to attack me any moment, especially since I've got the most troublesome thing in my tent, bear cubs, soon. Complete silence fell outside. Only the bear's labored breathing and chewing sounds remained. It was feeding. My stomach churned violently, yet an eerie calm settled in my heart. After a while, the black bear seemed satiated. It let out a mournful whimper before I heard the sound of it dragging something away. The black bear dragged Kyle's corpse away while Aloan had already fled back to hide in the guest house. The mountain forest finally returned to deathly silence. I slumped against the icy tent wall. Completely drained of strength, my back drenched in cold sweat, I'd just begun to relax my frayed nerves, thinking this night's nightmare was finally over. Just then, the heavy footsteps echoed once more from the darkness nearby. One step, then another. The measured rhythm, neither hurried nor slow, struck my heart like death's own drumbeat. It had returned. The black bear is coming back again. My heart, barely settled back in my chest, was suddenly seized by an invisible hand and yanked up to my throat. Every drop of blood in my body seemed to reverse course at that moment. My limbs turned to ice, and my teeth began chattering uncontrollably. This time, it had eaten its fill. A well-fed apex predator, no longer driven by hunger, moved with less ferocity in its actions, but I knew better than anyone. The moment I showed myself, it would pounce without hesitation, using those massive paws that could crush Kyle's skull to snap my neck. Its goal had never changed from the very beginning. What it sought was its lifeless cub. My gaze involuntarily fell upon Aloan's coat in the tent corner, the one wrapped around the bear cub. The cub lay still with closed eyes, its body completely rigid. The coat carried not just the scent of the dead cub, but traces of someone else's presence. A thought flashed through my mind like lightning in the dark, illuminating my stagnant consciousness, the only idea that could keep me alive. Without hesitation, I held my breath and mustered all my strength to suppress my trembling body. Inching forward bit by bit, my fingers brushed against the coat. Beneath its icy fabric lay the even colder, rigid body of a cub. With utmost care, I slowly pulled out the coat. Outside the tent, the black bear's sniffing grew closer as it searched. The overwhelming scent of blood on the ground clearly disrupted its sense of smell. Now's my chance. Using my fingernails, I painstakingly inched the tent zipper open just wide enough to slip my arm through. It's happening. Rustle. That barely audible sound in the deathly silent would send chills down my spine. I stared fixedly at the massive dark figure outside. It seemed undisturbed, still pacing in circles while anxiously snuffling the ground with its snout. Now's the moment. I gripped the garment with all my might and hurled it with every ounce of strength in my wrist, flinging it far away from my tent. The dark mass arced through the air before landing with a soft thump on the grass a dozen meters away. Though the disturbance was slight, it was enough to rouse the massive creature. The black bear instantly perked up, its glowing eyes locking onto the target with predatory precision in the darkness. The next instant, its massive frame erupted with impossible speed, launching like a black cannonball as all four limbs propelled it forward in a ferocious pounce. Rip! The sickening shred of fabric under claws and fangs pierced the air like a scream. My heart hammered against my ribs as I watched through the tent's torn opening. I can't bear to imagine the gruesome scene if that thing had pounced on me instead. The black bear shredded the jacket to pieces, then suddenly froze. It lowered its massive head, sniffing at the torn fabric while emitting confused whimpers from its throat. It caught the scent of its cub. At the same time, it must have detected that other overwhelming scent clinging to the garment, the unmistakable trace of another being, Aloan's scent. The black bear's whimpers turned into a murderous growl the moment it confirmed the smell. It completely abandoned searching in my direction, its massive frame turning around as it took heavy, ominous strides toward the guest house. In the darkness, I could only make out its towering, mountain-like silhouette. It lingered outside window after window, sniffing intently as it analyzed the scents emanating from each room. It was hunting. Find the killer who carries the last scent of its cub. The guest house was eerily silent. At last, the black bear's footsteps halted before the far-right room on the second floor. It stood motionless. It stood perfectly still before Aloan's door. I knew it had found what it sought. The scent hung thickest in that very room. Time itself seemed to freeze in that moment. 1 second, 2 seconds, suddenly, the black bear let out an earth-shattering roar to the heavens, a sound brimming with the agony of losing its cub and the fury of betrayal. Then came a heavy thud as tremendous force smashed against the wooden door, followed by a second impact, then a third, bang, bang. Each impact sent tremors through the entire cottage. "Ah, help me," Alohan's piercing, distorted scream finally erupted, carrying far through the silent night. "Stay back. It wasn't me. I swear it wasn't me. Callista, that bitch Callista, she did it. Go after her. She's still trying the same old tricks, still attempting to shift the blame onto me. Too bad for her. This time she's not dealing with a human who'd fall for her lies, but a beast that trusts only its own instincts." A deafening crack of splintering wood echoed. The door burst open with a crash. I clung desperately to the torn tent flap, my heart pounding in my throat. The black bear let out an agitated, furious growl, its massive head and one forepaw already thrust through the doorway, yet its hulking frame remained wedged tight in the remaining doorframe. For now, it was trapped outside. What thoughts raced through Alohan's mind inside that cabin? Had she foreseen this mother bear's relentless vengeance for her stolen cub? Would she still have kidnapped it for that pitiful vanity? The final doorframe shattered completely under inhuman force. The massive black bear, now unimpeded, charged violently into the room. In that split second, a figure erupted with survival-driven speed, darting along the wall through the bear's blind spot. "It's Alohan." She was scrambling outward like a madwoman, arms and legs flailing wildly, but I soon sensed something was wrong. She wasn't fleeing downstairs or toward any hiding place. She was charging straight toward my tent. In the darkness, I couldn't make out her face, but the overwhelming wave of venomous hatred hit me with terrifying clarity. "Callista," her voice was shrill, trembling with tears and venom. "If I can't live, then we'll die together. She's gone mad." She burst into my tent and violently yanked the zipper shut from top to bottom, the cramped space instantly filled with her pungent sweat, the stench of terror, and that indelible scent of dead bear cubs. When she spotted me cowering in the corner, her fear-widened eyes ignited with venomous fury. "I knew it was you. You weren't sleeping at all. You're the one who led that bear here, aren't you?" I didn't even have time to argue, couldn't even react in time. A deafening roar approached, each thunderous footstep syncing with my pounding heartbeat, nearly rupturing my eardrums. The next instant, our flimsy tent, our only shelter, was violently split down the middle by a massive bear's claw. RRIP. The fabric let out a pitiful whimper before being torn clean in two. The frigid night wind, heavy with the metallic tang of blood, instantly betrayed our presence. The black bear stood right before us. My legs gave way as I collapsed onto the moisture-proof mat, mind blank with terror, helplessly awaiting final judgment. Even with a second chance at life and all my scheming, I still couldn't escape this bear's deadly grasp. The black bear's shadow loomed over us as it charged straight toward our group. I held my breath and shut my eyes tight. I could already feel the massive paw descending mercilessly, ready to crush my skull like an eggshell. A sickening crack of bone exploded in my ears, both muffled and piercing at once. Warm, viscous liquid splattered across my face. My eyes snapped open in shock. The excruciating pain I'd anticipated never came. The black bear's massive paw came down on Alohan's head beside me. Her screams and curses came to an abrupt halt. I was next in line. I clenched my teeth, trembling like a leaf, awaiting the inescapable death. Time ticked away. Second by second, the bloodied bear paw, smeared with gore and brain matter, remained suspended in midair. A warm, moist nose pressed against my cheek, sniffing intently. I didn't dare move a muscle. Then the massive head withdrew. It just sniffed me before stepping right over me, heading toward what lay behind. The small bear carcass lying motionless in the tent corner, long stiffened in cold whimper. The deafening roar faded into silence. What followed was an uncontrollable wail of sheer anguish. The mother bear lowered her massive head, nudging her cub's lifeless body gently with her nose again and again, as if trying to rouse it from sleep, but the tiny form would never respond again. The mournful cry echoed through the silent woods, twisting my heart with sorrow. At last, it fell silent, gently, ever so carefully. It picked up the cub's body with its mouth, then it turned and trudged away, step by heavy step, never looking back as it disappeared into the boundless darkness. It was gone. It left with its offspring. Outside the tent, deathly silence returned. I collapsed on the ground, gasping for air. The post-survival exhaustion left me unable to move a single finger. After what felt like an eternity, I slowly wiped my face with the back of my hand. My hands were slick with something thick and metallic, Alohan's blood. I turned to see Alohan's grotesque, twisted face beside me. As dawn's first light filtered through the treetops, painting the sky pale, I finally knew I'd survived. I wiped the blood from my face, stood up, and walked step by step back to the guest house. The guest house's door was tightly shut, its occupant seemingly still asleep. I approached the entrance, raised my hand, and pounded heavily on the door. Boom, boom, boom. A commotion came from inside, and soon a bleary-eyed guy opened the door, recognizing me. He froze momentarily before his face twisted into a sneer. "Callista, you've got the nerve to show up. Thought you'd kicked the bucket out there." I ignored him and walked straight past. In the living room, a few classmates had already woken up, casting hostile glances my way. Well, if it isn't our high and mighty princess, what's the matter? Didn't enjoy your tent and came crawling back to us. With all that thunder and bear growling last night, you didn't piss yourself, did you? They laughed mockingly without restraint. I glanced around the room before speaking calmly. Where are Kyle and Aloan? Though I spoke softly. The entire living room fell silent instantly. Everyone exchanged uneasy glances. A girl curled her lips in disapproval. The class monitor and Kyle are probably still asleep. They must be exhausted after keeping everyone safe last night. Exactly, unlike some people who contributed nothing and only know how to sulk. A cold smirk played at the corner of my mouth. Oh really? Then you'd better go check if they're actually in the room. My tone was so certain it gave everyone present goosebumps. The boy who opened the door first frowned and walked impatiently toward Kyle's room. Callista, what kind of scheme are you pulling now? I'm warning you, if you dare disturb the class monitor's rest. As he spoke, he pushed open Kyle's bedroom door. The room stood completely empty. The neatly folded bedding showed no signs of having been slept in. Roar, where is he? He froze in disbelief. Others gathered around, their faces etched with confusion. Let's check Aloan's room. The crowd surged to Aloan's door, but froze when they pushed it open. The spacious room now lay in complete ruins. Broken glass littered the floor, and the wooden door nearby was smashed to pieces. Panic instantly spread through the crowd. What's going on? Where are the class monitor and Kyle? You don't think something happened to them, do you? Last night, I think I heard screams, but I thought it was just a dream, a girl whispered, her face pale. All eyes eventually turned toward me, meeting their gazes. I spoke slowly and clearly. They're dead. Eaten by a bear. The moment I said it, the living room air turned to ice. Then a blood-curdling scream shattered the silence. A girl's eyes rolled back as she collapsed like a felled tree. The guys who'd been mocking me moments ago now looked like they'd seen a ghost. What nonsense are you spouting? Exactly, Callista, that's not something to joke about. I couldn't be bothered to argue, simply gesturing toward the tent with a raised hand. A few boys who fancied themselves brave mustered their courage and approached. Moments later, an even more blood-curdling scream came from the tent area. Then a boy came scrambling back, his pants soaked with urine, the stench of fear clinging to him. He collapsed on the ground, pointing toward the tents, his words coming in broken gasps. Blood, corpse, Aloan's face, gone. Now no one doubted my words anymore. The entire BB descended into chaos, screams, retching sounds, complete pandemonium. Amidst this cacophony, I fumbled for my phone and dialed 110. When the call connected, my voice sounded eerily calm. Hello, police. This is XX Forest Lodge on the outskirts. 2 people are dead, mauled by a bear. I clearly stated my address before hanging up the phone. My classmates stared at me like I was some kind of monster, their eyes filled with both fear and disbelief. The police arrived swiftly, secured the scene, and immediately pulled up the guest house's surveillance footage. Everyone was gathered in the living room, watching as the technician projected the surveillance footage onto a laptop. The screen lit up, showing the time as 8 p.m. the previous night. In the footage, Kyle sneaked furtively into Aloan's room, with the curtains left open. Everything inside was clearly visible. Kyle and Aloan embraced in a passionate kiss before tumbling onto the bed. The next instant, they bolted upright in panic as Kyle pulled out a small, furry creature from under the covers. It's that little bear, it's not moving anymore. The surveillance footage was silent, but the twisted faces of the two on screen, contorted with fear and malice, struck harder than any sound. After a frantic whispered exchange, Kyle picked up the bear's lifeless body with Aloan trailing behind, both sneaking toward my tent to stuff the small corpse inside. A deathly silence hung in the living room, broken only by the labored breathing of a few individuals. The classmates who once looked at me with disdain now kept their heads down, too ashamed to meet my eyes, let alone glance at the screen. The surveillance timer kept ticking. Soon, a massive dark shadow emerged in the footage. It was the mother bear. It headed straight for my tent. Then the scene was overtaken again by the figures of Kyle and Aloan. Kyle was instantly swatted down by that massive paw. The gory scene made one girl scream and vomit on the spot. As for Aloan, she shrieked and bolted back to her room. What followed was Aloan being mauled by the black bear until daybreak. The surveillance footage ends here. The officer turned off the video, leaving only stifled, intermittent sobs in the living room. The whole truth was laid bare in the light of day. A female officer approached and draped her jacket gently over my shoulders. Callista, we appreciate your cooperation. Please come with us to give your statement. As I passed by those classmates, they instinctively recoiled and made way for me, as if I carried some contagious disease. I got into the police car and left these mountains that had buried their youth and nearly claimed mine too. Outside the car window, the sunlight was just right, and I was reborn. The end. Story 2. The Orc Kingdom was defeated and sent a group of underage orcs as beast slaves. The crown princess hastily claimed the handsome merman with healing abilities. I chose a severely injured black kitten on the verge of death. Later. The crown princess's merman died a tragic death from overexertion after being forced to overuse his powers. To my surprise, my little black cat recovered and transformed into an 8-tailed wish-granting feline, yet he remained cold and distant toward me, convinced I'd saved him just to exploit his powers like others had. Heartbroken by his plight, I made a sincere wish for him to grow his 9th tail. But the moment he gained his 9th tail, his first act was conspiring with my royal sister to have me killed. Damn you, Celine, if you hadn't insisted on choosing me, I would have been with Freya by now. Only then did I realize he'd long been in love with the crown princess, yet he conveniently forgot. On the day of the beast slave selection, Her Highness never even glanced his way. When I opened my eyes again, I'd returned to the day of the beast slave selection. This time, I didn't even glance at him again. Immediately choosing the wolfhound beside me that was frantically wagging its tail. Beast slaves, breed doesn't matter, what's most important is their loyalty to their master. 1. Freya, Celine, these are the beast slaves freshly delivered from the Beastmen Kingdom, pick whichever one you like. The moment I opened my eyes, my mother's authoritative yet gentle voice reached my ears. I froze for a moment, staring bewildered at the rows of iron cages before me. Then it hit me, I'd been reborn. I'd returned to the very day when my imperial sister and I were choosing beast slaves in our past life. Women of Great Joe were warrior-born, their battle-loving nature leaving them frequently wounded. In our past life, when the imperial princess learned there was a mermaid with healing powers among these beast folk, she immediately claimed it for herself. After surveying the group, I chose a severely injured black kitten with emerald green eyes clinging to life. I knew that without intervention, its wounds would prove fatal within days, yet no one could have predicted that this frail little creature would transform into the legendary 8-tailed cat after recovery. The Orc Kingdom has long held legends of 8-tailed cats that grant wishes. Upon learning this, the crown princess grew deeply wary of me. She feared I might wish upon the 8-tailed cat to claim the Great Joe throne for myself, to court the minister's favor. She increasingly ordered her mermaids to heal wounded generals, but mermaids are inherently delicate and sensitive creatures. Before long, her mermaids suffered a mental breakdown from overusing its powers and died a tragic death. What my elder sister didn't know was that even after I saved the 8-tailed cat, it remained rather aloof toward me. Celine, drop the act. You're just like the others, being nice to me only to make wishes, aren't you? So, what's your wish? Once you make your wish, we're even. The 8-tailed cat's gaze was icy with impatience. I've researched 8-tailed cats. Legend says they grow a new tail every 20 years. After sprouting the 8th tail, they must grant a human wish to have any hope of growing the 9th. Only by growing the 9th tail can one achieve spiritual perfection and attain immortality, but human greed knows no bounds. Upon discovering the 8-tailed cat's power, people would cling to it like a personal wishing machine. I thought the little black cat had been so deeply hurt by humans that it became wary and distrustful toward me. After much contemplation, I finally made a sincere wish to him. I wish you could grow a 9th tail and never have to worry about being exploited by humans again. My wish came true. The moment I finished speaking, he actually grew a 9th tail. Before I could rejoice for him, his emerald eyes turned cold as he glared at me. Celine, don't flatter yourself thinking I owe you gratitude. You squandered your own wish. From this moment, we're even. Then he stormed off without another word. When we met again, he transformed into a striking green-eyed youth standing beside the crown princess, then watched coldly as my sister's tiger beastman tore out my throat. Celine, you deserve to die. If you hadn't insisted on choosing me, I'd be with Freya by now. I could only laugh at the absurdity. On the day of the beast slave selection, my dear sister didn't even glance his way. I've only heard of ungrateful wolves, never imagined there'd be ungrateful cats too. If not for me, who knows when he'd have grown his 9th tail. Not only was he unappreciative, he even repaid kindness with malice. Given another chance, I'd rather pick a dog than keep him. At least a dog remains loyal and never abandons its master, but raising an 8-tailed cat could cost you your life in the blink of an eye. No sooner had mother finished speaking than the princess began eagerly rummaging through the cage, too. Then she quickly pointed at the barely breathing black kitten inside and said, Mother, I want this little cat. The poor thing looks so pitiful. If nobody chooses him, he'll die, won't he? The imperial elder sister murmured with tender compassion. The 8-tailed cat's emerald eyes instantly gleamed upon hearing her words. Then it let out faint, plaintive mews toward her. Seeing this, I realized the imperial elder sister had been reborn just like me. Mother frowned and said, Freya, are you sure about this? The cat looks rather useless. The orc's strength comes from their naturally powerful physiques. Had it not been for the valor of our Daijo women warriors and their superior weaponry, the outcome of this war could have gone either way. This 8-tailed cat is currently at its weakest, barely larger than a common house cat with just one tail visible. No wonder mother thinks it's worthless. The 8-tailed cat immediately turned its anxious gaze toward the princess upon hearing its mother's words. Terrified she might reject him, the princess merely tilted her head with an amused smile, saying, Mother, I've decided. I quite fancy this little black cat. The 8-tailed cat's eyes shone even brighter as it looked at her. Mother had no choice but to drop the subject. Then her gaze turned to me. Celine, why don't you pick one too? That mermaid has healing abilities, perhaps you'd like this one. The crown princess' eyes flickered with disdain upon hearing mother's words. I know what she thinks. Though mermaids possess remarkable healing powers, their delicate nature limits frequent use of such abilities, making them far inferior to eight-tailed cats. My elder sister seemed utterly convinced I'd choose the mermaid, yet I simply shook my head with quiet resolve. Neither mermaids nor eight-tailed cats hold any appeal for me in this lifetime. After the lessons from my past life, this time I only want a beast slave who will remain eternally loyal to me. Among beast folk, dogs are the most devoted to humans, so I pointed at the black wolfhound wagging its tail frantically beside the eight-tailed cat and declared, "Mother, I choose him." The wolfhound immediately lunged toward the cage upon hearing me, pressing its front paws against the iron bars while gazing at me with overwhelming excitement, its tail wagging so fast it became a blur. I couldn't help but step forward with a smile. Gently stroking his head, he eagerly stuck out his tongue, affectionately licking my palm. See, this is so much better than that eight-tailed cat who always gives me the cold shoulder, at least in his eyes. I'm the only master that matters. To mother's surprise, neither my royal sister nor I chose the most sought-after healing mermaid. 3. Instead, one picked a cat while the other opted for a dog. With resignation, she sighed. Very well, since you've both made your choices, that mermaid shall remain in the palace. Originally, after the royal heirs had their first pick of these beast folk, the remaining ones would be available for selection by the children of court officials. The mermaid's healing abilities are truly rare and precious. That's why mother couldn't bear the thought of him falling into non-royal hands, though for that mermaid, it might actually be a blessing, knowing his value. Mother wouldn't exhaust him like the crown princess did, forcing him to heal countless patients without a moment's rest. My elder sister looked shocked when she saw I hadn't chosen the most valuable mermaid from this batch of beast folk, but soon a relieved expression crossed her face. Clearly she thought that without the wish-granting eight-tailed cat and now passing up the healing mermaid, I stood no chance against her claim to the throne. Soon after, the princess turned her gaze toward our mother. "Mother, could you have that mermaid treat this for me first?" The princess cooed with practiced sweetness. Mother smiled and nodded. "Of course you may." The imperial princess beamed with joy, immediately opening the cage to scoop up the eight-tailed cat before heading off to find the mermaid. The eight-tailed cat curled up obediently in her arms, its emerald green eyes gazing adoringly at the princess. A cold smirk crossed my face as I stepped forward to unlatch the wolfhound's iron cage, setting it free. In my past life, I had indeed considered asking my royal sister's mermaid to heal the eight-tailed cat, but my sister kept postponing it, claiming the mermaid was occupied with other patients. Left with no choice, I spent a fortune on rare medicinal herbs to treat him myself. Yet in the end, this very act became one of the reasons for his resentment toward me. He blamed me for not asking the princess to have her mermaid heal him quickly when I clearly could have. Little did he know, the princess never wanted my beast slave to recover too soon, but to the eight-tailed cat, my explanation sounded like nothing but excuses. This time, I'll see if he can grow that ninth tail after siding with the princess. Would my royal sister use that single wish to make him grow a ninth tail again? The wolfhound rushed at me excitedly the moment it was out of the cage. 3. The guards nearby immediately went on alert at the sight, yet I simply reached out my hand toward him. The wolf dog affectionately placed its paw on my hands with an excited bark. A pair of gentle puppy eyes gazed at me, sparkling with joy. Beast folk can't speak human language before transformation, yet I could clearly sense his overwhelming happiness through his body language. I couldn't help but let a faint smile curl my lips. I have to admit, I absolutely love how my orc only has eyes for me. When he looks at me, it's like I'm his entire world. Good boy. I reached up to pat his head. His tail wagged furiously as he squinted with pleasure under my touch. "Come on, I'll take you home. From now on, I'll be your master," I said with a warm smile. He obediently nodded, retracted his claws to the ground, and followed closely behind me, wagging his tail. The strength of beastmen depends firstly on bloodline talents, and secondly on daily nutritional intake. After bringing the black wolf dog home, I hired a professional nutritionist to care for him, ensuring his body would grow stronger before his transformation. He clung to me like a shadow, following my every step as if we were inseparable. The moment a stranger approached, he'd instantly position himself between us, baring his teeth in full protective mode. Unlike the eight-tailed cat from my past life, after I nursed him back to health, he'd vanish like smoke, appearing and disappearing at will. He only ever came slinking back when mealtime rolled around or when he needed something from me. Turns out having a dog is the best decision. Seeing nothing but pure devotion in those eyes just melts your heart completely. I'm growing fonder of this wolfhound by the day. That day, the royal sister's eight-tailed cat was finally fully healed by the mermaid. Given her highness's temperament, she would have preferred to work the mermaid around the clock treating the eight-tailed cat. After all, that's exactly how she exploited the mermaid in their past life, pushing her to absolute limits. But this time, the mermaid no longer belonged to her. She'd lost all right to treat the mermaid like a beast of burden. Mother would never allow the princess to exhaust the rare healing mermaid's spiritual energy, shortening its lifespan. Under the mermaid's intermittent treatments, the eight-tailed cat that took over half a year to heal in its previous life fully recovered in just about 10 days this time. As he recovered, his true form was revealed. Mother was utterly astonished when she learned that the little black cat was actually the legendary eight-tailed feline. Then I felt genuinely happy for my elder sister. Splendid. It seems Freya truly has exceptional fortune to have discovered an eight-tailed cat. Mother's eyes sparkled with amazement. After all, Mother knew that those whose wishes are granted by an eight-tailed cat would enjoy lifelong happiness and prosperity, with blessings extending to their descendants. If my elder sister were to inherit the great Zhou dynasty, wouldn't all her descendants be showered with endless blessings? With the eight-tailed cat as her beast servant, the imperial sister gained increasing support among court officials, for, after all, to the ministers, forming a bond with such a mystical creature signaled divine favor. Aligning with her became the winning bet. Should the imperial sister wish upon the eight-tailed cat for the throne, her ascension as the next empress would be virtually guaranteed. Nobody would turn down such a surefire opportunity. When they learned my beast servant was an eight-tailed cat in my past life, they secretly reached out to me constantly, trying to curry favor. Little did they know, my wish wasn't to become empress. I asked the eight-tailed cat to grow its ninth tail instead. After the eight-tailed cat evolved and betrayed me for my elder sister, those ministers quickly switched allegiances to support her instead. The court mocked my foolishness. Not only did I waste my one wish, but ultimately paved the way for my sister's triumph. When I made that wish, I truly had no regrets about my choice. Otherwise, the eight-tailed cat wouldn't have actually grown its ninth tail because of my wish. But after granting my wish, he kicked me aside. That's when the regret hit me. I treated him with genuine kindness. I didn't expect love in return, but at least not outright betrayal. And in the end, he just stood there watching as my elder sister's tiger guards tore me apart. Say what you will about how I treat others, but I definitely saved his life twice. And how did he repay me? No wonder they say you can't tame a cat's nature. In my past life, I literally bet my life to prove this point, but in this lifetime, now that he's fallen into my sister's hands, dreaming of growing a ninth tail is pure delusion. Pity he wasn't reborn with memories of his past life. Otherwise, I'd pay good money to see his face when his eighth tail falls off from wish-making yet again. After 6 months of my devoted care, my wolf dog finally achieved human form. 5. A tall, slender youth stood before me with fluffy ears atop his head, his handsome, chiseled features softened by warm obsidian puppy eyes gazing at me with utter devotion, while a jet black tail wagged furiously behind him. Master, I've succeeded in my transformation. The wolf dog lunged at me excitedly, stumbling backward. My hand accidentally landed on his lean, muscular waist. His seemingly unimpressive waist actually had rock-hard 8-pack abs that felt incredible to touch. Suddenly, my mind flooded with all sorts of naughty thoughts. They say few women can resist the charm of a man with that perfect V-shaped torso. Wonder how capable this young stud would be after transformation. Cough, my gaze faltered, too embarrassed to let it wander further down. Lost in my thoughts, he suddenly leaned in close to me. Then he stared at me with puppy dog eyes and asked nervously, "Master, do you like my transformed appearance?" Clearing my throat softly, I nodded. "Yes, I do. By the way, what's your name?" All orcs have their own names. They just couldn't speak them before transformation due to the language barrier with humans. But he shook his head pitifully at me. "Master, I was just a stray dog nobody wanted before, so I never had a name. Everyone just called me Stray Puppy. Master, would you give me a name?" Hearing this, I couldn't help but feel a surge of compassion. Nodding, I said, "How about I call you Xander? Though no one wanted you before, you've got me now. As long as you don't betray me, I'll never abandon you." Xander's tail wagged even more excitedly upon hearing my words. "Master, I'd never betray you. Dogs are the most loyal creatures, and wolves mate for life. With both bloodlines in me, I'll be utterly devoted to you." Xander eagerly pledged his loyalty, as if afraid I might doubt him. I couldn't help but smile and instinctively reached to pat his head, but his transformed form had grown much taller than me, making it impossible to reach. Yet Xander, ever perceptive, immediately bent down eagerly to meet my gaze, so I let my raised hand rest gently on his head. "Okay, got it. I trust you," because I knew he'd grow into a loyal dog who'd remember kindness. My only regret was playing the saint in my past life. I wasted my pity on that dying 8-tailed cat instead of choosing him when he was wagging his tail so desperately for me. After the beast selection ended in my previous life, I did see Xander again later. 6. Back then, he'd fled from some noble's household in utter disarray. Saving a down-and-out orc was just a trivial favor to me at the time, so I lent him a hand and arranged his safe return to orc territory. Yet fate played its cruel joke. The 8-tailed cat I'd cherished with all my heart betrayed me viciously, while the mangy wolf dog I'd casually saved fought a tiger to the death when I lay dying. Just to protect me, the tiger's fatal bite to my throat made death come swiftly. In my final moments, I heard only his enraged roar, laced with profound agony and heartbreak. Only then did I realize I'd forsaken my loyal guardian for the sake of an ungrateful stray. Choosing a beast companion truly requires mutual devotion. My elder sister learned about my beast servant's transformation and immediately brought congratulatory gifts while cradling her 8-tailed cat. 7. After seeing Xander's appearance, her expression softened, then she gave me a suggestive look and said, "Dear sister, I was wondering why you'd choose a wolfhound as your beast servant. Now I see. You certainly know how to enjoy yourself. Tisk tsk. That canine physique is an advantage no other beastman can match." I simply gazed at her coolly and replied, "You flatter me, elder sister. How could he compare to your 8-tailed cat? Though I've heard these wish-granting felines grow impatient with indecisive masters. It's been over half a year. Haven't you decided on your wish yet?" The elder princess smiled faintly, stroking the 8-tailed cat's fur. A wish from an 8-tailed cat is precious indeed. "I haven't quite decided what to wish for yet," I smirked and said. "They say an 8-tailed cat must cultivate its 9th tail to attain immortality. Have you considered wishing for its 9th tail, sister? With a 9th tail, its power would surpass all other beast folk. Surely that would make it a far greater asset to you." At my words, the elder princess's expression froze momentarily. Yet the 8-tailed cat in her arms gazed up at her with hopeful eyes. The elder princess then said gently, "A 9th tail doesn't grow so easily. When our little one's cultivation reaches its peak, the 9th tail will come naturally. How could my mere wish make it happen?" I gave the 8-tailed cat a meaningful look, noting the profound disappointment in its eyes. "Fair enough," I quickly added, "but I was merely making conversation, elder sister. Don't let my words squander your one true wish." The elder princess nodded with a smile. "Of course. My little darling will always stay by my side anyway. I can make a wish whenever I want. There's no need to rush." "True enough," I agreed in reply. The moment the elder princess left with the 8-tailed cat, Xander scoffed. "Hypocrite, selfish. It's obvious you never intended to wish for that cat to grow its 9th tail." I stared at him in surprise. "How did you know she wouldn't make the wish I suggested?" Xander said matter-of-factly. "If the 8-tailed cat really grows a 9th tail, wouldn't that mean it can't grant wishes anymore? That woman reeks of something foul. I could tell she's bad news the moment I smelled her. There's no way she wouldn't use the only wish on herself." "Master, you should stay away from her from now on," Xander warned me. His words left me utterly stunned. "Tell me then, what does my royal sister smell like?" I asked curiously. "They say dogs have an acute sense of smell." Could Xander actually distinguish between people's scents? Xander made a disgusted face and said, "She reeked of decay, this foul, fishy stench." I was terrified she'd pick me. Then he gazed at me affectionately. "Thank goodness you chose me, master." Seeing his relieved expression, I couldn't help asking, "What about me? How do I smell?" "Master smells absolutely divine," Xander said, inhaling the air around me obsessively. "Your scent makes me want to be your mate." I couldn't help but widen my eyes in surprise. "You still want to be my partner?" My voice involuntarily rose in pitch. Well. No wonder his tail was wagging like crazy when he saw me, so he was actually hitting on me. When Xander saw me glaring at him, instead of looking guilty, he gave me this pitiful, wounded puppy expression. "8, is it not allowed, master? Am I so terrible that you don't like me? Tell me what you don't like about me, and I'll change it, okay?" As he spoke, his perked-up ears drooped down, making him look utterly pathetic. My heart instantly melted. "It's not that I don't like you, but mother would never allow me to take a beastman as my partner." Xander's eyes immediately lit up. "So master does like me. Don't worry, master. I won't put you in a difficult position. At worst I'll accept being the secondary partner. Surely His Majesty wouldn't object to that," Xander said earnestly. His words left me torn between laughter and tears, yet deep down, I felt genuinely moved. Despite his firm belief in monogamy, he was willing to compromise for my sake. I couldn't help but motion for him to lower his head, then reached out to gently pinch his beast ears. "All right, I'm not interested in polygamous pleasures. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it." Xander's face instantly flushed red as he nodded obediently, but that very night, he quietly slipped into my room in the dead of night. "Master, the night is chilly. Let me warm your bed," said the towering beastman youth, gazing at me with adoration. My eyes traveled upward to find his upper garments already discarded, his abs actually glistening under the moonlight. I couldn't help but swallow hard at the sight. Then Xander manifested his tail, gently guiding my hand to rest upon its fluffy surface. "Master, would you please pat my tail?" Xander gazed at me with puppy-dog eyes. I couldn't resist that pitiful look and reached out my hand. The glossy tail felt incredibly silky to the touch. But then he grabbed my hand and placed it on his sculpted abs. "Master, feel my waist. Is it too thin for your liking? If it displeases you, I'll eat more and train harder. I promise to meet your expectations." Hearing this, I quickly blurted out, No need. You're perfect just as you are." For secure document watermarking, choose Shahubat, reliable, stable, and hassle-free. No output as the provided text is empty or contains only a non-printing character. Any heavier and he'd look too bulky, which wouldn't be as attractive. Xander seemed to exhale in relief, then gazed at me expectantly. Would Master like to properly experience it? Perhaps the darkness emboldened me. My mischievous hand reached out and never withdrew. By the time I came to my senses, dawn had already broken. I couldn't help but clutch my waist and sigh dramatically at the sky. That Adonis belt truly lives up to its reputation. Eep. Xander looked rather guilty when he saw me wake up. 9. I couldn't help shooting him a fierce glare. He ducked his head nervously, then suddenly transformed into a tiny black puppy and leaped onto my bed, wagging his tail frantically. He began licking my palm in an adorable attempt to appease me. Master, I just like you too much. Please don't be mad, okay? He whimpered in that puppyish voice. I finally couldn't maintain my cold expression. My hands instinctively reached up to scoop up the lively little puppy, stroking it gently. You can transform into a puppy too? I asked in surprise. Xander nodded. Yes, after shapeshifting, I can control my transformed appearance. My interest was instantly piqued. Then show me a few more transformations. Seeing my improved mood, Xander obediently nodded before shapeshifting again, this time into a delicate, adolescent boy who appeared no older than 12 or 13. My heart skipped a beat. Damn, do all orcs have these abilities after transformation? If I get an orc partner, will the benefits be this good? Meanwhile, Xander was looking at me expectantly. Master, may I beg for some ear scritches? I couldn't help but reach out, but seeing Xander as just a young boy at that moment gave me this unsettling feeling like I was committing a crime. Suddenly, a violent crash came from the window. Before I could react, Xander instantly transformed into his beast form, leaping off the bed with bristling fur as he bared his fangs toward the window with a low growl. I quickly turned to look, only to see the previously shut window now shattered by the eight-tailed cat. A pair of glowing green eyes stared fixedly at me. I couldn't help but frown. You're the royal sister's beast slave. What business do you have coming here? I frowned in displeasure. The eight-tailed cat let out a low, plaintive mewl in my direction. Xander chose that moment to let out a cold chuckle. Did she make a wish to you, having regrets now? At those words, my gaze instinctively drifted toward the eight-tailed cat's tails. That's when I noticed, of the 8 tails behind him, only 7 remained, though I can't say I was surprised. I just wonder what wish my royal sister made with his 8th tail. Before I could speak again, the 8-tailed cat suddenly stepped forward as if approaching me. 10. Just then, Xander leaped into the air and pounced at the 8-tailed cat. The two quickly tangled in a fierce fight, trashing the entire room. A vein throbbed angrily on my forehead. I immediately barked, "Cut it out, if you want to fight, take it outside." Xander finally came to a reluctant stop at my words. Baring his teeth at the 8-tailed cat, he growled, "Didn't you hear the master? Scram!" But the 8-tailed cat stood its ground, refusing to leave. The next instant, one of its tails abruptly fell off. Before I could process my shock, he suddenly began speaking human language. "Celine, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you before. But now I realize my mistake. Can you forgive me and let me come back to you?" He looked at me pitifully, his voice thick with remorse. I froze for a moment, then it hit me. Had this 8-tailed cat somehow regained memories of its past life? At this thought, my fists clenched involuntarily. "Forgive you, you don't deserve it. Didn't you always claim that if you'd met Freya first, she'd have made you grow 9 tails sooner? So where's your 9th tail now?" I sneered. "Forgive him. He's only regretting choosing the wrong master because the princess didn't wish for him to grow a 9th tail." Pa, coming to me now, don't tell me he thinks I'd be foolish enough to grant him 9 tails again. In your dreams. My words instantly made the 8-tailed cat wilt like a deflated balloon. 11. Celine, it was all Freya poisoning my mind against you. I truly believed you were just using me. I was blind in our past life. But now I see who genuinely cares for me. Celine, could you give me another chance? Xiaohu bot, anti-piracy file protection. For bookfinding bots, choose Xiaohu, reliable, stable, and scam-free. I smirked mockingly. Even if you misunderstood me before, I helped you grow your 9th tail and achieve spiritual completion. Doesn't that prove my sincerity? But what have you done to me in return? Not only did you betray me, but you conspired with the crown princess to kill me. Now that the princess has used you, you finally understand regret. I don't want your apology. Get out, I said coldly. The 8-tailed cat's eyes instantly filled with deep remorse. At that moment, Xander suddenly shifted into human form, lunged forward to grab the cat by its scruff, and unceremoniously hurled it out the window. "Didn't you hear the master telling you to get lost, traitor?" Then Xander cautiously approached me. "Master, I've thrown that damn thing out." I stared at him intently. "You remembered too?" Xander gave a quiet grunt of affirmation. "Then tell me what happened after I died." I leaned back against the cushion. Xander nodded, then said with a hint of guilt in his voice, "Last time, I arrived too late to save you. By the time I defeated that tiger beast man, you were already gone. That didn't surprise me." And then, Xander's expression turned vicious in an instant. "Then I'll lead the orc army to attack the great Zhou capital, to avenge you." I looked at him in astonishment. "You're capable of that?" Xander flushed immediately. Stammering, after my master sent me back to the Orc Kingdom, I became its new chieftain. That's how I command the other orcs. Since I launched the campaign in your name, the Empress didn't order full-scale war immediately. Instead, she started investigating your death. That wicked woman, afraid her misdeeds would come to light, sent that white-eyed cat to negotiate with me in secret. Hearing that nine-tailed cats gain the power to rewind time after ascension, I made a wager with him. The bet was this: if given another chance and chosen by Freya, could he still grow his ninth tail? If I lost, I'd fall on my sword and withdraw my forces. If he lost, he'd expend all his celestial power to bring you back. At this point, Xander laughed with confident satisfaction. 11AO * HU bot circled greater than anti-piracy watermark circled greater than bookfinding bot heavy checkmark. Choose it with confidence, guaranteed satisfaction. I knew it, even if given another lifetime. That selfish woman Freya would never waste her only wish on growing him a ninth tail. I won the bet. Xander's words left me stunned, frozen on the bed. So my rebirth. Was this an opportunity Xander fought tooth and nail to secure? On the day of the beast slave selection, did you and the eight-tailed cat retain memories from past lives? I couldn't help asking. Xander shook his head. No, I suspected that cunning bastard might collude with Freya, so I added a clause to the wager. His past life memories remain sealed until someone makes a wish upon him. Only when someone wishes upon him will he remember everything from his previous existence. As he spoke, Xander's eyes turned icy once more. Didn't he bet everything on Freya granting him that ninth tail? Well, I'll make sure he only remembers possessing it after being used like a disposable tool. If anyone could make an eight-tailed cat grow its ninth tail, nine-tailed cats wouldn't just exist in legends. That eight-tailed cat once had an owner who cared for it deeply, yet it cruelly caused her death. Nothing brings greater regret than discarding a treasure you once possessed, only to find it lost forever. He's determined to make that blind cat regret it to death. Seeing Xander's indignant expression, I couldn't resist reaching out to tweak his furry ears. Xander instantly blushed crimson again. You did so well. Thank you for saving me. At this point, I'd be heartless not to offer myself to you, I said to Xander with a playful grin. I'd always believed my rebirth was the heavens taking pity on me, granting me the second chance at life. Who knew it was all thanks to Xander? Xander's ears perked up instantly at my words. His eyes sparkled with excitement as he looked at me. Really, master? I'm overjoyed. I just mischievously gave his tail a playful squeeze. Only then did I discover what wish my elder sister had made. During the morning court session, Mother unexpectedly designated my elder sister as crown princess. Since everyone was already aware of the eight-tailed cat's existence, this development came as no surprise. The transition was smoothly accepted without any opposition. 12. Yet no one anticipated that on the very day of the crown princess's coronation ceremony, the eight-tailed cat would suddenly emerge from some shadowy corner. In a flash, it darted to the royal sister's side and slashed viciously at her throat with razor-sharp claws. A cat's claws are sharper than any blade, let alone when striking an unprepared victim. The lethal swipe landed perfectly across the royal sister's throat, instead of fleeing after the assassination attempt. The eight-tailed cat kept mauling the royal sister's body in frenzied retaliation. Freya, you deserve to die. It's all your fault for deceiving me. I lost not just my ninth tail, but also the one who loved me most. Soon enough, the frenzied eight-tailed cat was torn apart by other beastmen guards. With his dying breath, he gazed in my direction, eyes filled with regret and resentment. His final words still echoed, Master, I was wrong. To win over court officials, she increasingly ordered her mermaids to heal wounded generals. Cousin raged. My mother suddenly bellowed. Why are you all standing around? Fetch the mermaid to treat her highness immediately. The mermaid was brought over swiftly. When he arrived, my elder sister was still breathing. After all, the great Zhou dynasty thrives in martial arts, and with her inner energy protecting her, the imperial sister wouldn't be so easily killed. Yet before everyone's eyes, after desperately trying to save her for half an hour, the mermaid, pale and clearly drained of spiritual energy, turned to the queen and said, Your Majesty, forgive me, I've exhausted all my strength, but we missed the critical window for treatment. It's beyond my power to reverse fate. Hearing this, the queen collapsed back into her chair, then she snarled through gritted teeth, Investigate. I want a thorough investigation into why that vile creature targeted Freya. With that, he cast an icy glare at all the orcs present. Human bodies lack the thick hide and natural defenses of orcs. If more orcs like that eight-tailed cat ambush our master again, how many could escape unscathed? If other beast slaves might turn on their masters, we're better off slaughtering them all. Yet she failed to notice the mermaid's barely concealed smirk as it bowed its head. After all, having been wished upon, the eight-tailed cat, once the imperial sister's beast slave, must have regained memories of its past life. The investigation results came out swiftly, with the imperial sister gone. Her former subordinates were easily coerced into talking by our mother's people. Mother's face turned ashen when she learned the crown princess had actually wished for her own sudden death through the eight-tailed cat. 13. Upon discovering the violent confrontation between the princess and the eight-tailed cat after the wish, which provoked the creature's vengeance, Mother temporarily set aside her prejudice against beast slaves. The eight-tailed cat's dying words confirmed the princess had committed grave betrayal first, justifying its act of turning against its master. Whether it was the shock of learning about the death curse or not, Mother seemed to develop a heart ailment, her spirit deteriorating day by day. They hastily proclaimed me crown princess. Half a year later, my mother passed away. As crown princess, I ascended the throne without incident. After my coronation, I overrode all objections to make Xander my prince consort, because I know men may betray me, but my dog never will. The end.